recent decades, governors have not covered themselves with glory, and there have been many court interventions. The report offers ways to streamline the system. What are your views on the recommendations made by the committee?
The governor issue has to be examined in the context of the presidential reference as well. What the one good suggestion which this committee has made is adding a 13th schedule in the constitution, which contains a list of instructions, or I would put it do's and don'ts of the governor. This is really paradoxical because governors are supposed to be people with gravitas, people with elder statesmen who don't need to be told what is to be done. I mean, you can tell a income tax officer or a civil servant, you can't do this, you can't. But at the level of the governor, the vice president, the president, it is expected that he has that much of responsibility, sense of nationalism that he doesn't need to be told. But unfortunately, the governors have been completely partisan, not just now for the last 30, 40 years. This question of governors has been very unfortunate. So one good thing will be to put it in on the 30th schedule. There's a certainty, number one, because you find that governors in states where the ruling party is there are different than from the governors in opposition states. Like say in Tamil Nadu, what happened? For 24 months, the bill was not even assented to. 12 bills were just kept pending without being assented to. And then that led to the controversy whether there can be a time limit. It went to a presidential reference and they said, no, there cannot be time limit. But they said if it is prolonged, unexplained, and another word they use, they can interfere. Isn't 24 months prolonged and unexplained? So what is wrong with putting a time limit of 3 months? And see, sir, if it's a simple bill, you can assent it in 48 hours or 24 hours. If it's a complicated bill, then you may want to examine its repugnancy, how far it clashes with central law, but it doesn't take more than 30 days to do that. 3 months is an outer limit. And the central government itself said, Ministry of Home Affairs said, 3 months should be the outer time limit. That's what the ministry said. So what is wrong with this time limit?
The report suggests that there should be people of integrity, etc., which is fair enough. But they also say that they should have just one 5-year term and nothing thereafter, which I think is a fairly good idea that, you're not looking forward to anything, nor have you been associated with the party earlier. But the main point I have is that Dr. Ambedkar said that he must do nothing in his discretion, nothing. So why do we have to go through this? The governor of Maharashtra, here we have a legislative council, and the chief minister can nominate, I think, 12 members. He sat on it for 3 years. And
Yes.
so the question is, I've followed up the question that do we need governors? No, another country like India, which is a parliamentary democracy in states like us, is Germany. In Germany, the central government has a president, but the states have no governor. Why? What does the governor do? I mean, what do you think he does that we could miss out on if he wasn't there?
Actually, technically speaking, the governor has no role except.
The scars would be there, the soldiers would.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, that will require a
cost
major
a lot of
cost.
money. I don't know whether.
Yeah, please go ahead.
There was a man called Mr. Biswanath Das, who was a member of the Constituent Assembly. He used to be Prime Minister of Orissa under the 1935 Act. He said that to Dr. Ambedkar that, these guys, you don't seem to have any work for them. They cost a lot of money. If you to pay them a salary, why have them? Should Dr. Ambedkar have listened to him?
Yes, maybe. But, sir, that will require a major constitutional change. And the report doesn't say abolish governor. They say you continue the governor system, but some checks and balances.
But even the checks there are so many things in the report that require constitutional amendment. The first section is still full of amendments. Then, should there not be a debate at least with the governors are necessary? Because they don't seem to do anything useful as far as I can see.
No, actually, the point is who recommends president's rule then? Suppose you don't have a governor, who recommends president's rule? Then, say, for example, the power of pardon. Who decides the power of pardon? Thirdly, if a state law is going to conflict with the center, then if you don't have a governor, then the state assembly can pass any law. Then it has to be checked in the court. So the governor does have some important constitutional roles. I would not argue for a complete abolition of the governor's post, because there are constitutional functions which he has to do, which and Article 200
Fine.
and 1 and so on. Yeah.
But when government falls under 356 or whatever it is, then there is central rule imposed. That rule actually is the rule of the central government. So is there any way in which, at least to ensure that when there is central government rule, that it doesn't become the rule of the central government versus that of the party that has lost the confidence of the House? Because currently the central government just takes over. So should there be some setup there where the current dispensation is not completely out of a new dispensation, which is having policies that are the centre's policy? Because the purpose of central rule is not to impose central policy, it's to wait for a few months until a new government is elected.
See, but now that has been checked by the Bombay judgment. If you just indiscriminately impose president's rule, it's subject to judicial review and so on. But I would not agree with you that governor post should be abolished. Maybe because in my opinion, seriously put the constitutional architecture into jeopardy. See, because there is a rule, there's a president, then there is a governor, and there is a president and parliament, governor and assemblies. So they have a role to play. I can't think of a constitution without a governor. That will be too radical a change. I think instead of going down that path, we can have a situation where, now that the governors don't know their constitutional obligation, put it in writing. A bill will be passed in 3 months. You'll do this, you'll do that. So just put it in writing, as the committee said in the 13th schedule. That is a salutary provision, and the system can continue. So, and the point is, all over the country, the bill has to be done in 60 days. So whether it's Meghalaya or Tamil Nadu or Maharashtra, once the bill is given to the governor, in 60 days he takes a decision. We know that. Or you can put, if in 60 days it doesn't do anything, it's deemed to be passed. So that's.
So, Dr. We have now discussed all the subjects there at the end. Would you like to sum up your views on the report? Overall, your 3-4 minutes sum up on the report. What you think? What you think is a good thing, bad thing?
One thing I must say is that a lot of study has gone into the report. They must be commended for the hard work they have done. Some very novel suggestions have come. And I think it is exactly this which is the part of our important democracy. The new ideas are thrown up, you debate them, discuss them. Wherever they are useful, you implement them. Where it's not practical, you don't do so. And talking union state, I think this is the third attempt. You had the Sarkaria Commission, then you had the Poonchi Commission, then you had this committee also. You also had a side committee of Venkatachalaya Committee on working of the Constitution. But this committee's report, I think, merits debate and discussion. Just because it is instituted by the Tamil Nadu government is not a ground to completely discard it. It may have been promoted by an opposition rule state, but it is headed by a Supreme Court judge. They have considered so many submissions, representations, and so on. And I think that it should be debated in Parliament, is my view.